All right. Hello, Shardae, and welcome to the Imperfect Cheerleader podcast. I first want to ask you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background in dance or cheer and performance.
Yeah. So I am Shardae Swoope. I graduated from Rutgers, New Brunswick with a bachelor's in communication. I then went back and did the alternate route to education, which is where I became a high school special education teacher for students with autism. In terms of my dance career, I was actually a dancer from the age of 2 to about 5th grade. And then I switched over to cheerleading. I got really bored of dance. I don't know. I was like doing the same moves to a different song. I don't know. I then switched over and became a cheerleader. So I cheered from 5th grade all the way to college. I did a little bit of dance and cheer in high school, but the high school I went to, which is Rancocas Valley Regional High School, it's in Mount Holly, New Jersey, very competitive, and it was like hard to balance both. So I cheered there all 4 years. And then I went to, actually my freshman year of college, I went to Hampton University, Virginia, which I was on the cheer team there. And then I transferred to Rutgers, and then I cheered all the remaining of my years there. After that, during that time, my senior year, I lived with 6 cheerleaders and dancers. So we were all on the same schedule, same practice schedule. So it was kind of cool. And I noticed that they started like trying out for NBA teams or NFL teams. So I've been a diehard Eagles fan my entire life. And I was like, okay, if there's one team I'm going to do it for, it's going to be for them. So that is how I got into my journey of trying out for the Eagles. So I tried out my senior year of college, and I was 20 years old at that time, turning 21. And that's how I started my journey, which is definitely a lot different than everyone else's, or I'm not going to say a lot different, but it's not your typical, oh, she tried out one time and she made it. I actually tried out 5 times for the Philadelphia Eagles. But yeah, wow. So my background for cheer and dance, I've been doing it since I was 2 and then till now.
Awesome. That's so cool. And I have heard about you trying out 5 times. That is, I have a question about that. We're going to get into that later. But, and you said you lived with six women in college?
Yeah, with 6 cheerleaders and dancers 6 cheerleaders in college. Yep.
How did that work out? Like, was it in the same, like just a suite? And was there like 3 on each side or something?
So we ended up moving off campus, but it was really on campus. So if you've ever, okay, the lights are getting dark. If you ever been to Easton Ave at Rutgers, New Brunswick. So if you've ever been there, they have like apartment buildings over there. And then they have like things that are considered off-campus apartments. So we lived off campus. So we had no room and board. Like we didn't pay for that. We just paid ourselves. So the rooms were actually kind of cool. It was like 5 rooms and 2 of them shared a room. But everyone had their room to themselves. We shared, there was like 2 bathrooms in there and then a common area and a kitchen. So it was kind of cool. And we all had the same schedule. So it was nice. We all practiced the same 2 nights a week. And then every day we're at game days. So it really worked out really well.
And y'all got along?
Got along. No issue
good.
With that.
Wow.
That's some amazing. Of like the closest friends too. Can you see me well? Or do I need to like now adjust the light?
I can see you well. Okay. Yeah. Unless like, the sun starts getting lower and you have to move. I don't know if it's one of those motion lights you have to move around.
I think it is.
Awesome. So you talked about being on the Eagles cheer team in the NFL throughout. So you've been on that team for how many years?
So I was on the Philadelphia Eagles for 6 years.
For 6 years. Okay. Do you have a favorite year out of those years that you've been on the team? 6 years is a long time to be on a team. And I'm sure you've experienced a ton during those 6 years. So like, what has been like your favorite year, would you say, and why?
Yeah. I feel like my typical answer would be like my rookie year on the team was Super Bowl year. So that was like my first year. I got to go to the Super Bowl. We won, making history. So I mean, like I could say that was my first year, but I'm going to say instead was my second year on the squad. I got to go on a Goodwill military tour, and my grandpa served in the war of both grandpas, actually. So it was kind of like special. I left, I think, the day after Christmas or 2 days after Christmas, and I spent the holidays with them. So that one's probably one of my favorite and most memorable experiences being on the team, along with all the other great things. And again, I got to end at a Super Bowl, even though the outcome wasn't the same as my rookie year. It was still really special. So
that's awesome. Are you still on the team right now?
no, I am done. So we have a 6-year cap where we do have to hang up our pom-poms. So I have hung them up officially as of like June.
Okay, well, congratulations on retirement.
Yeah, it's a little bittersweet.
So is that with just your team after is it a certain amount of time that you have to hang them up?
So you can only do 6 years being a Philadelphia Eagles cheerleader. I know every organization is different, but their requirement is 6 years. You do audition every year, of course, and have to earn your spot back, but 6 years is the max regardless. So.
Oh, that's so interesting because I hear about the max on certain teams. Like I was on the Panthers and ours is 10 years. Because back in the 90s when we first started, like there was no limit. So people would stay on the team for like 10. I think one lady, like the longest ever was like 11 years. So they had to put that rule in place. So I feel like, I don't know if that's been a rule.
That's how ours was. So the first year I made the team was the first year of the cap year. So before that, there was no limit. There was girls on there from 8 to 10 years, like it didn't matter. But yeah, so that was the first year of the cap was my rookie year.
I think that's so interesting for people to know because I feel like when people audition, they don't really realize that. And it's not something that you need to know when you're auditioning. It's not the most important thing, but a lot of people don't know, like just in general people, the general public don't know that. So I think it's pretty interesting to hear about the different caps on the years on teams.
Yeah.
So you said you auditioned how many times? 5 times, right?
5 times I auditioned to be a cheerleader.
That is
before I made it.
Before you made it, right?
Yeah, so I made it on the 5th time. So that's 5 times total, but I made it on the 5th time of trying out.
That's incredible. Like I feel like most people wouldn't go that far, or they wouldn't really try after maybe, I don't know, 1, 2 times.
Yeah.
What kept you coming back to audition every year until you made it? Like that's so inspiring actually to people that have been auditioning maybe for 3, 4 times, maybe even more than 5 times, and they haven't made it yet. And I feel like it could be easy to just give up and not come back, and maybe you're like, oh, this is not for me. But what made you like be persistent in those years?
Absolutely. I feel like that is a good question. And it's one that I make sure to reiterate to everyone when we do like our workshops and stuff like that for Eagles, when we would do those, because there's a lot of times where you are going to hear no. So I tried out when I was 20 years old, about to turn 21, and I came in and I didn't do my research enough. I'm like, oh, I saw a little bit things and I didn't do my research. So I felt like I definitely wasn't prepared. I also wasn't in like the mind state of being around such like a prestigious group of women. Like I wasn't there yet mentally. I was still like a little immature in myself and not secure in myself and being confident. But I noticed that when I tried out, every time I would make it just a little bit further. And I'm like, okay, well, I am clearly doing something right, but what am I not doing to make the team? So I found this book called Mind Gym by Gary Mack. And I tell everyone about it. It is probably one of my favorite books, and maybe one of the top reasons of why I made the Eagles cheer, and God, of course. But like I read this book, it is so empowering and so inspirational, and like never giving up on your dreams. And I knew that I wanted to do this, and I was going to be very persistent in doing so. I met a girl named Jessica who was on the team, and I sat in the locker room with her, and this was my 4th year of trying out, and she had told me that she tried out like 7 times. And this was her 8th time. And I was like, well, she can do it and she never gave up, I can too. So I just trained a little bit harder. I kept pushing myself. I would ask questions like, well, what is it that like you're looking for, and things like that, and being persistent. And every year I would up my game, so to say, and make sure I was always just that much smarter and wiser and knew what I had to do, whether that was I needed to take a few more dance classes or whatever it was to get me on the team. But I swear by that book, if you ever can read it or anybody read it, it changes your entire mindset. And that's what I did. I changed my entire mindset of how I was making the team. It wasn't about how many times I was going to fall, but how many times I can get back up. And that's what I did.
That's so inspiring. And look at you now, like
Yeah.
you've
I-
been on the team for 6 years. You were a
Yeah.
captain, weren't you?
Yeah, I was a captain
Yeah.
for 3 of those years, and I was Pro Bowl cheerleader.
Mhm.
And yeah, 2 Super Bowls, 1 good military tour, so many appearances with artists and stuff. Like, I've done it all. I can't complain.
That's so cool. I did write down that book, and so
Yes.
I'm definitely gonna look that up, and I'll get it. I have like a list of books that I need to, that I've heard that I need to read. So I'm gonna do that. And if you're listening and you're thinking about giving up, read that book. That is so inspirational for real, and I'm proud of you, like, for
Yeah.
not giving up. I tell people all the time, like, if you really have it inside you, if you feel like this is what you were meant to do, then keep going. It's always going to be there. If you have the will, if you're physically able, then yes, do it. So thank you for sharing that story. You said in the intro, for your job, you are what is it?
Is a high
Special
school
education teacher?
for students with autism.
Okay.
Recently, I am not doing that anymore. I have switched career paths. I had a great opportunity, and now I currently work in finance. But all my years on the team, literally, this is just super recently that I am now in finance. But yes, as a high school special education teacher for students with autism, the most amazing job ever.
So you were doing that while you were on the team?
Yes. Yep. So
go
ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to ask, how did you balance doing that and being a dancer? You said you were a cheer coach, right?
Yeah.
As well. Like, that sounds like a really busy schedule. And I think a lot of people and a lot of listeners have questions about how you balance being a full-time employee, or you're working full-time, and then also you have this part-time gig and you're coaching on the side as well. Like, tell us how you balance all of that.
So yes, you are correct. It is a very hectic schedule and a very busy schedule. I coached a high school cheerleading team, which is the high school I worked at. And then I coached 3 all-star cheerleading teams. So I coached, it's a South Jersey team, and I coached their junior 5, their non-tumble, and their senior 4. So the beauty of it all is, one, for the high school, I got to make my own schedule when it comes to practices, and I would have them right after school. I would cut them a little bit earlier. With Eagles, we only practice 2 days a week, and it's typically a Tuesday and Wednesday from 7 to 10 at night. And then I would go to my high school cheer practice, do that. And then anytime that I did not have any Eagles, I would then coach my all-star cheerleading teams. And there were 2 to 3 coaches on each of those teams, so it made it easier. So we were able to split the time up for that. But I like being busy, and I like chaos. I know not everyone does. I like to be extremely busy. If any downtime, I'm nah, I don't like it. So the more the merrier. So for me, it was just I write everything down. I'm a big writer, outer planner. I have to do all that to keep myself organized when it comes to that. But it actually was pretty manageable. And with the Eagles, you do have to do appearances. We do a ton of those. So I would get those in on the weekends, or whenever I had off from school. If we had spring break, I'm all right, I'm going to do all these appearances and get it all done. It can be crazy, and it sounds like a lot, but time management is huge. And I think that's big for any job, let alone being an NFL cheerleader. You have to have time management. There are a lot of teachers on our team, and nurses and stuff like that. Our schedules seem to work with that, because we get done 3, 4 the latest, and then we just have our practices just 2 days a week and games, and we were able to fit it all in.
Were there a certain amount of appearances that you had to do while you're on the team?
So they just have a requirement of 3 a month, but the amount of appearances that come in and the amount that you want to do, you just do them all, as many as you. But everyone gets in there 3, and yeah.
So it sounds like you didn't have much free time.
No, I know. I didn't have much free time, but I am not complaining, because now I'm looking back darn, if I could have done 1 more, 2 more, I would it goes by so fast. So then you're geez, it's gone in the blink of an eye, and you want to be that busy again.
Yeah. So it sounds like, so you were at this most recent Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
With Rihanna. Well,
Yes. Oh
I
my
call it, it's Rihanna's concert, you know?
Yes, the Rihanna concert.
But I mean, obviously for you, it was way more than that because you're on the team. So you went to the Super Bowl as a rookie and in your last season.
Mhm.
I feel like that is like once in a lifetime. Like you get to do that. So shout out to the football team, yay. Tell us about your Super Bowl experience, because the first time you went, you won, right?
Mhm.
And then the last time was a loss, but your experience obviously is different because I mean you're dancing and you're probably running around doing a bunch of things. Can you tell us about both Super Bowl experiences and your favorite parts, how they were different? Just can you reflect on that a little bit?
Yeah. So my first year, of course, I was a rookie on the team. So I really didn't know what to expect. I had no expectations going in. I just knew that we were going to the Super Bowl and I'm hoping that the Eagles win. So I think mentally I wasn't prepared for how exciting it was and like how much excitement was built around it. And I've never been to a Super Bowl before. I've cheered on the field and I'm like, okay, we have the most passionate fans in the NFL. I've cheered for 70,000 people. Who knows how many people are about to be at this Super Bowl? But I just wasn't prepared mentally for that. But getting there, it was amazing. It was in Minnesota, so a little bit chillier than it was in New Jersey. Or I mean in Philadelphia to say.
Was it outside?
No. It was inside. They always parts in a dome, majority of that. But yeah, no. Just the traveling was a little chillier, but so much fun. It was electric is one of the words I use a lot to describe it. And you didn't want to sleep because if you slept, you're going to miss something. So I was like, I didn't want to do that. We had so many appearances, so many like fan engagement opportunities, the amount of Eagles fans that came to Minnesota. Amazing. Again, the most passionate fans in the NFL.
They are. I second that.
And it was just so cool to see that, like, okay, well, Eagles are everywhere, and Philadelphia was like so live and so there. And it was something that, of course, we never got to win until that moment. So the energy in the stadium was insane. Like it was everything, like I would say in like a fairy tale that you could think of could happen, happened. And you see like the confetti box in front of you, and they have like the Patriots confetti box and they have the Eagles confetti box. So you see it and you're like, oh my God, which one's going to come first? And then we're literally just standing there at that last few seconds as the clock is running down and like tears are pouring from our eyes, like of excitement and just, wow, we made history. I'm literally getting chills in the back of my neck. We made history for the first time. I made so many snow angels in the confetti. It was amazing. And I got to do it with 20. Well, I made 20, so 19 of my rookie sisters. We're probably the biggest class thus far in the Eagles organization. There was about 35, 38 of us on the team that year, and 20 of us were new. So
what year was that? Sorry.
This was in 2017.
Okay.
The Super Bowl was 2018. So it was next year, but 2017, that class, there was 20 of us, and it was insane to experience that with all of them and to have the pleasure to go, because I don't know every organization, but some of my friends have that cheer professionally. They don't take everybody. So it was nice that they took every single last one of us for this opportunity. So my rookie year, that Super Bowl just gave me chills, and I was excited to then now 5 years later, that I had this opportunity again. And it was different for me because now I'm a captain, and I had the opportunity to go down earlier. So I went down almost a week earlier, like 4 to 5 days earlier than everyone else. It's a group of us, 8 of us, a few of the captains and a few of the other veterans by year and seniority. And I got to experience my first opening night because I didn't get to experience it as a rookie that time because we came a little bit later during the week. So I got to experience my first opening night, and it just sets the tone for the Super Bowl. Like it's really hard to explain clearly because I'm not from it, but it just set, like, you see Eagles fans, you see the Chiefs fans, and it's like they're just flooding and people want to talk to you and they want to know like your experience and this and that and that. And like, you're on so many news stations. It's
insane. Again, nothing I've ever experienced in my life. And it just set the tone for the whole week. So I'm on this high now for the entire time until the Super Bowl. And I'm like, I just can't wait. I can't wait till that day. You do so many other appearances. I think I did more this time around, I think, but the hype each year gets better and better. And it's in Arizona, and it's at a new, like, it was just insane. So then we have Rihanna playing. So I'm like, and I love Rihanna. So I'm like, amazing. I'm like, I want to buy all her merchandise and all that. So
did you get to meet her?
She walked past.
Okay.
She did wave. She's so sweet. And she was so cute with her little baby bump. She did.
So you already knew before she went on.
And then ASAP Rocky, her husband, husband, he came by, and he was just like all about Eagles too. And I felt like everything was about the Eagles. Maybe it was just in my head. I'm sure the other team felt the same, but I felt like everything was about Eagles, the fans, the Eagles fans, maybe even more than my rookie. Like, I was like, wow. Yeah. And the stadium, the way it's set up, you felt like the fans were like right there on top of you too. So you could see everyone's faces, their reactions and things like that. So it was cool. We danced to Meek Mill's and Little Uzi. Like, that was the hype. Our rookie year, Meek Mill's song was like the biggest thing, and we incorporated it again. And I felt like everything just kept aligning up. And I was like, oh my God, this is what happened last. And I was like, oh my God, we're going to win in my head. But it was still exciting overall. So each experience, I think, was different in a sense of how much I got to do the second time around, and how much more I appreciated being there from my rookie year to my sixth year. I kind of just wanted to soak it all in, because I was like, wow, this is so nostalgic for me. I started my rookie year that way, and I'm going to end my year the same way. So I was different feelings of emotions. First year, I had no clue what to expect. This year, I'm like, okay, I know I never want to sleep. I want to keep doing all these appearances. I want to keep doing those things, but it just felt like, wow, this came full circle for me. So it was much more emotional this time around than the other time, but exciting either way.
Yeah, not many people can say that they went to 2 Super Bowls as a cheerleader.
Correct. Yeah.
For, any team. So that's incredible. And you won but one of them. So that's awesome. I was going to ask you, just going back to your persistence and being on the Eagles, was there something about that team in particular that made you, so you're from New Jersey, right?
Yes, I'm from New Jersey. Yeah.
So what was it about the Eagles team specifically? And I don't know if you already said this, but like, was there a specific thing about that team that made you want to audition? Because I guess there are closer teams to New Jersey, right? So what was it about the Eagles?
So I am South Jersey. So
okay,
I'm really close to that one, because there's the Jets are up further too. They're in New Jersey, but they're located in New Jersey. So again, so I grew up in a house full of Eagles fans, like diehard Eagles fans, grew up that way. So I grew up watching football. What stood out to me the most about that was being a high school special education teacher for students with autism, and being able to incorporate that with Eagles. And that Eagles started the Eagles Autism Foundation, and it solidified everything I could ever dream of a team or of a job, so to say, because it is a part-time job. And then the way that they interact with the fans and how they do all these junior cheer clinics, that just watching some of my friends do that prior, and then having not only that in the back of my head, like, okay, well, they are so community involved that it's something I want to be a part of, because it's not something I've ever had those experiences of. And then when making the team and the Eagles Autism Foundation started, I knew that was home, and that's where I would want to be. I wouldn't want to do any other organization, because they have stole my heart, and that's what got me. So yeah.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. I wish, back to Super Bowl, this past Super Bowl, I was actually there. I wish I would have known you there. Aww. Because now that you're an alumni cheerleader, they have like a alumni volunteer event every year at the Super Bowl, wherever it is. Yeah. So I was doing that at the Super Bowl. It was like the Saturday before, but so yeah, I was actually in Phoenix for that. Nice. So if you want to, I think it's in Vegas this year. So I don't know if you you're interested in doing that, but it was really cool. It was cool. It was like a food event. So it was like, I think it was called Taste of the NFL. So they had alumni cheerleaders just stand at the booth and you got to eat free food, and
Wow.
celebrity chefs were there. It was fun.
Oh.
Anyway, you were selected for the 2022 Pro Bowl. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So why do you think that you were selected for the 2022 Pro Bowl? And can you tell us about what your biggest takeaway was from that experience?
So this is a question I think, actually not think, I was asked at Pro Bowl.
Oh.
And I literally started breaking down crying. I'm not gonna cry now.
It's okay if you do. It's okay. It's a safe space.
So going into, so what we do have like an interview process for being selected as a cheerleader. So you get a Pro Bowl cheerleader, sorry. So you do have to give a speech in front of your entire team and it's voted on. So it's pretty fair and things like that. So I had the opportunity to do that. And when I wrote my speech, I was kind of just thinking about like, all right, why do I want to be one? Because that's, well, the question was why do you want to be a Pro Bowl cheerleader? And I couldn't think. I was like, well, why do I? And this was, I knew I was going to go for it that year. So the moment I made the team, I said, if I'm going to go for it, I'm going to start thinking about that question specifically. Why do I want to be a Pro Bowl cheerleader? Why? And what makes me want to be a Pro Bowl cheerleader? Why would I even be selected? Why would the team want to select me? Why would the organization want me to go and be a representative for them? And I thought to myself, it is the story, part of the story that I had is like, I am not your traditional cookie cutter, maybe NFL cheerleader that you can think of when you envision like this fairy tale story of being an NFL cheerleader. And I took a step back and I think that my story was so relatable to some of those girls on the team, and seeing the humility that I do have, like it's, and how much I love this organization and want to be the best for the team, not for myself, is what I think stood out and why I was selected for Pro Bowl cheerleader. Yeah, it's more to me than just wearing the uniform or any of those things. I want it to be about how I make somebody feel and if I made an impact on that person. So it's never about me, it's always about the other person. So I think that maybe that shined through and why the team selected me to be their 2022 Pro Bowl cheerleader. When I was asked this question, I got none of this out, just so you know. And Ron, he asks the questions there. And I remember my one of the former cheerleaders, her name is Kayla. She was a Pro Bowl cheerleader 2 years prior to me. I mean, 2 years, yeah, before me. And she was like, have you been Ron yet? Have you been Ron yet? And I'm like, no, what does that even mean? And this segues into the most memorable moment, which was that you're surrounded by a bunch of women. We were surrounded by a bunch of women, but I know that there were women and men too. But we were surrounded by a bunch of women that their stories and what you think they are, like this perception you may have, is not that. They were so inspirational and so like, I felt like they were just like me in that time. And I was like, wow, like they select a group of women, and it is an honor to have that opportunity. And that was the moment I needed in life. I learned a lot about myself. More on a personal note, I was engaged and then I'm not anymore. And it was like right, kind of same like transition time. And I met another girl who was also there, and she was the exact same story as me. And I was like, there's just no way.
Wow.
There's just no way. And I love her to this day. She is on the Saints cheerleading team, and she talked to me. We spoke every day, but she would just give me such inspirational things, to the point where I even got it tattooed on my body, what she had told me, which was be where your feet are.
Wow.
Tattooed here.
Yeah.
And she was telling me the story about her aunt and things like that. And she just remembered saying to herself, not to be where your feet are, wherever your feet are in the moment, wherever it is in life. So don't feel bad about
not being engaged. Don't feel bad about not making that cheerleading team at that moment. Don't feel about, you need to be where your feet are, and wherever your feet are is where you need to stand and stand strong. And from there you grow, and then you move on, and then your feet are in another place. So I just kept that in my head. So be where my feet are. I came back and I shared it with my entire team. I have it probably, they've monogrammed it on everything I own most. And it was one of the biggest takeaways for me was the moment I was asked the question you just asked me, and meeting the Saints cheerleader, Cassie is her name, and her sharing the be where your feet are for me.
I love that. I'm writing it down right now. That's such great, like, you're just so inspirational just from talking to you for these few minutes. And I appreciate you sharing that. That's a very vulnerable thing to share about, being engaged and not being engaged, and how, the Pro Bowl came at the right moment for you. And you also were at Pro Bowl with my sister, Camilla.
Yes, she's a sweetheart.
Yes, love her. So thank you for sharing that. I'm sure Pro Bowl is like, I always hear about how amazing it is and how much you learn about yourself. And so I'm always interested to hear like other people's takes on their experiences, just coming from different teams. And whenever our cheerleader came back, it was always cool to hear about all the other cheerleaders and like, oh, this is, I'm just making a name up, Cassie, and she's like this and she's like that. Oh, and she reminds me of you, Jasmine, or she reminds me of you. Like I love hearing about that, because like you said, you're all you are more alike than you think you are. And that like hearing that from our cheerleader each year kind of affirms that as well. So so you recently won, I was actually scrolling on your Instagram and I saw that you won Teammate of the Year and leadership, the leadership award with the Eagles. So can you speak a little bit on the importance of being a great teammate and being a great leader as well?
So referencing back to like even my Pro Bowl speech, to me, like receiving that is a really huge honor. Being Teammate of the Year. I was also Cheerleader of the Year about 3 years ago too. And again, something else that's like, oh my God, like a huge honor in itself. Having those two roles, even Teammate of the Year and Leadership Award, again, it's more than just being like this captain where I have the word captain or the title captain. It was more to me than that. And it was being great for everybody else. So if you need me at 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to answer. If you're on a flat tire an hour away, I'm coming. And I just always wanted to be there and be available for my teammates in a way that is more than just, I'm leading you on a squad, like I'm gonna lead the dances and you're gonna follow. And I never wanted my role to be like that of power. I wanted to be like, we're all equal and I'm gonna give you the same opportunity that someone else gave me. And I'm leaving and I'm gonna put my footprint here. I'm gonna put my feet here and give you the opportunity to do so too. So one of my biggest things, and Kayla also taught me this, who's also a big inspiration, was as she was transitioning out and I was on her squad, she would allow me to we called them bumps at the time. Now they're fillers, so to say too, like on the sidelines when the music is on. She would allow me to have that opportunity to do that because she knew that she was leaving and that the next girl, she would prep the next girl for that or the next guy for that. So that's what one of my things too that stuck with me. Like I want to do that for the next person too. So being Teammate of the Year, it wasn't about my title. It was about making everyone else feel important. They can come to me and that I can prepare them for whatever. It's kind of like a teacher too, like with my students and teaching them what's next in life. So
yeah, that all ties in together. I'm sure like from teaching, you take a lot from that and bring it to cheering, and from coaching, you take a lot of that, and vice versa, taking what you learn in cheering, take it into in your career. And now you're in finance. What made you want to make that switch from teaching to going into finance?
So this opportunity just came to me out of nowhere, which again, I felt like life was just starting to happen for me in different ways than I even imagined. And I got to use, so yes, I'm in finance, but I used more of my degree in communication. than anything, which is something that I was extremely passionate about. Is I know that I can talk in front of a classroom. I know that teaching it was very important to me at the time, but I started to see myself as like outgrowing it a little bit, more to say, and I wanted to take on or step into my role of communication, which is what I'm extremely passionate about. So this opportunity came out with finance. Even though it is finance as a label, it's I get to use more of my PR, the amount of conferences I get to go to and the amount of people I get to interact with verbally versus anything is exactly what I want to be doing at the moment. So that's how I transitioned over, and yeah, it landed me. Yeah.
Well, congrats on the new gig.
Yeah.
Best of luck to you there.
Thank you.
And so you talked a lot about your experience, and people that listen to this podcast, they want tips on auditions. They want to know what they should be working on now to prepare for the next audition. What can they be doing differently than last audition? What's some advice that you would give to someone going through the audition process?
Yeah. Biggest thing is to wherever organization, of course, and I'm sure it is done, do your research on them and see if you can fit into that organization. Does this organization align with what you were thinking? So that's number one. Number two, watch the style of dance that they do, because every organization does something different, where one organization may be more hip hop heavy, one might be more jazz and technical, like those type of things. Then I would start, biggest suggest, take some classes to always re-up on that and always stay fresh on choreography and things like that, because you can get complacent and like you may have been the best dancer in the world and you know these styles, but it may be different than what they are doing, and taking that little break sometimes you lose a little bit. So always staying on that. I encourage healthy eating, of course, and staying active and fit as much as possible. I attend workshops if you can, and even one thing I did is I would go to, not that I was a stalker, but I would go to some of the appearances that they would be at, like, not like if it was like an open training camp or something like that, I would go and I would watch their demeanor and like how they act, and like, okay, this is where I belong. And then I envisioned myself as an Eagles cheerleader. I created this vision board and I would write down things and I would goals and whatever it was. And I would look at it every single day, along with reading Gary Mack, Mind Gym by Gary Mack, which I've read 5 times as well. And just because I like to keep reading it.
It should be that good, I guess.
Yeah. And when you start changing your mindset, I can promise you, like, how you go in is more confident, you look more confident, you feel more confident. So you put your best foot forward then. So those are just some of my tips, and I think what worked for me. And if you really want it, never give up on it. It doesn't matter how many times it takes. Do not give up on your dreams.
Yeah. Mindset, like you said, is super, super important. I don't think many people realize how important it is for anything, but especially for something that you're being judged on constantly.
Correct. Yes.
There's rounds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great great So last question is this is just coming to me off the cuff. When you retire from the Eagles, are you still involved? You still want to be involved in the organization? Are there opportunities for retired cheerleaders to get involved?
So there were in the past, when I first started the team, where we had the alumni cheerleaders actually come on our calendar trip with us, which was really cool. We still have the opportunity to participate in the Eagles Autism Foundation, which I will continue to do so, where we can run, walk or a ride. And you get to do that alongside the cheerleaders and the players and things like that. So I will continue to do that because it is something so passionate to me. And then just attending the games like usual. Not that you like get any extra perks or anything for that, but it's nice to be there. You do still feel the love. You're still an Eagle always through and through. So those are type of things I would continue to be involved with.
Awesome. I need to make my way up to an Eagles game if they ever play the Panthers.
Yeah.
Because they're in the NFC, so maybe. I just remember when the Eagles came to Charlotte when I was on the team.
Yeah.
You're right. They're the most passionate fans in the NFL. And I have to say, Say what?
What years were you on the team?
2017 to 2021.
Okay.
2022. Yeah. So yeah, your fans totally different from our fans. A little slightly crazier. I'm being nice saying that. No, but thank you. Is there anything else that you want to add before we get into some rapid fire questions? Anything that you wanted to maybe touch on that you didn't already?
Not that I
Feel
can
free.
think of. I'm just grateful to have this opportunity. So thank you. But not that I can think of. If I think of something, I'll let you know.
Okay, perfect. All right. So we're going to get into some rapid fire questions. These are just going to be a few really quick questions and answers from you that we just want to get to know your personality and what you would choose. And they're all dance related. So just a little fun,
Okay.
little game here. Okay. So here we go. Number 1, favorite style of dance.
Hip hop.
Yes. Very first dance related memory that comes to mind.
Oh gosh, it's kind of embarrassing. It's when I was 2 and I peed on stage. That's very interesting to my mom.
That's so cute.
It is so bad. It is bad, but I tickled right on stage.
It sounds cute, but it's not cute for the person
It's
cleaning
not
it up.
cute. It's not cute.
For the person cleaning it up.
Not when your
yeah.
parents are like mortified. They're like,
Oh yeah, the parents
My
do.
God.
But looking back, there you go. All right, next one is favorite way to energize before a game.
Ooh, putting on Meek Mill's Dreams and Nightmares.
It's a good one. I bet you know that song like from the beginning to end.
In and out. It was like the anthem my rookie year. And
Literally.
continue as we dance to it again.
Did he come out with a song your rookie year? Or was it before that?
Before that.
It was before that. Okay, got it.
Yeah, but it was the song of the whole Super Bowl.
Yes, I bet. Wow. So cool. Favorite go-to post game snack or meal?
Ooh. French fries from Chickies and Pete's with the Chickies and Pete's with the cheese sauce. And if you don't know Chickie and Pete's, you're not
Writing it down. I am writing it down.
It is a staple, and I am going to 100% have that after every game.
Oh, I'm writing that down. It
On
sounds
Patterson
amazing.
Ave, you can go to, but I'm in Jersey, so I go to the one in Bordentown. But Patterson Ave, right around the corner from the stadium, called their crab fries, but really it's just like Old Bay seasoning on them, and their cheese sauce, amazing.
Ooh, I love that. I'd be thinking about that during the game. Like, just gotta win this game and go get some French fries after.
I love.
If I'm ever in Philly, I'm hitting you up to see where Chickies and Pete's are because.
But then I gotta make
hungry right now.
I'm gonna make you pick between Geno's and Pat's, which are the cheesesteaks, because Philly's chicken. So you gotta try it and you tell me which one you like better.
You know what? I think I've actually been to Geno's. I think
Okay.
is it separate? There are 2 separate ones.
Yeah, Geno's and then Pat's. Yeah.
I think I've been to Geno's. Is it like on a corner type thing somewhere?
And
Okay,
the sign
yeah.
is huge and it says Geno's.
Yes. I've been to Geno's. It was pretty good. That was my first ever Philly cheesesteak, I think. But I was obviously in Philly. I was at the Moose Picnic a couple years ago. That was my first time in Philly. So
Nice.
yeah, got that experience. All right, back to rapid fire. Favorite dancer or performer of all time?
Beyonce.
Woo, I saw her last night.
We have the same birthday.
Wow. Virgo's groove, a little Virgo's groove. Favorite hype song before a game? I feel like
if it wasn't, geez, it might still be Dreams and Nightmare, because that's the one I listen to all the time. Yeah, Dreams and Nightmare, I'm gonna go with that one. Or now it might be I Just Wanna Rock by Lil Uzi.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yes. Favorite dance move currently? It could be like it could be like I don't know, it could be
like TikTok.
trendy. It could be a trendy move.
Little hip thing. Not that I'm good at it, but
is that the little Uzi Vert one?
Yes.
I love that. Beyonce does that. All right. Favorite place you visited in your dance career? It could be domestic,
it would
overseas.
Be the Dominican Republic for the Philadelphia Eagles. We did our calendar shoot there, and we went to a rehabilitation center there. Amazing. Favorite.
Wow. Never been to DR. All right. Favorite choreographer or music video? Actually, those are two separate. Favorite choreographer. Let's do that one first.
Oh. I don't know. Let me think. I don't know. Huh.
Okay, we can go. We'll come back to that one if it
Okay,
comes
we're
to
gonna go
you.
back to it. Darn.
If it comes back to you. What about favorite music video?
Favorite music video would have to be, am I gonna stay away from Beyonce?
That's dance related, like favorite dance music video, I guess.
Oh, okay,
Or cheer, dance or cheer.
We're gonna stick with dance. We're gonna do the one with Jennifer Lopez. Which one's that one? Mm-mm-mm.
Dance on the floor. That
Nope.
one? Medicine?
No, dance on the floor. Dance on the floor.
Oh, tonight
I was
we're
like,
gonna be
kind of
hitting
random.
on
Yes,
the
yeah,
floor.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that reminds me of high school for me.
Yes.
Favorite dance song.
Ooh. Oh, Whitney Houston. That's my favorite one of all time. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, just a couple more. Favorite dance movie.
Save the Last Dance.
Save the Last Dance.
The first
Classic. Okay, yes, classic. And then the last one is just best overall movie from your, best overall memory from your pro dance career. Pro dance cheer career.
Yeah, from my pro dance career, besides the one I told you about, would have to be Pro Bowl.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yay. Well, thank you so much. That's all for the rapid fire. That was really fun. I'll always love doing those.
It makes
really
you think,
quick.
and then I'm like having a brain fart.
It does, yes. Well, where can people find you if they want to find you on social media or wherever else they can find you at? If you have a website, go ahead.
So I am Swoope with an E because I don't know how this happened in my life. My last name is the same as the mascot, the Eagles mascot. He's Swoope.
This is just
Isn't that
divine for you.
That's what I had to tell you. That's my fun fact.
Manifest.
Is that me and the Eagles mascot have the exact same name. So I'm just Swoope with an E. So SHAR.SWOOPE. And that is my Instagram. I'm also on TikTok, which is exactly the same. My Instagram is private because I had to teach, so you couldn't have that. And I kept it private too. So that is where you can find me. And then on LinkedIn, I'm Shardae Swoope. So.
Awesome. Well, this was such a pleasure, Shardae. I really appreciate it. And I'm sure there are so many good nuggets in there that people will take away from this. I'll put your information that you just said in the show notes about where to find you. And yeah, thank you so much for being on the ImPerfect Cheerleader podcast.
Of course. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to have done this and finally been able to do it because I feel like I rescheduled so many times, but thank you so much.
Awesome. All right. I'm just gonna stop recording.